This is like a landmark, I mean, in my view, a landmark piece of bipartisan legislation that passed recently, impacting a great number of Americans in a very good way.
Absolutely.
Again, this is my perspective. How about, can you tell us, I know you've been involved directly working with Van Jones and so forth, and of course the administration on making this happen. Can you tell me a little more about, the kind of the process to get here?
Yeah, I think that the process was just a coalition of goodwill. I think that this was a process of prayer and nothing short of the miraculous. For your viewers, my name is Louis L. Reed. I'm the national organizer for Cut 50.
Yep.
Cut 50 is a bipartisan criminal justice organization that Van Jones co-founded along with Jessica Jackson, who is our national director. And essentially what ended up happening was we got a call from Jared Kushner in about January of last year. And he said, hey, I have a bill that's very skeletal in its concept, and I want to be able to you guys to help me push this thing forward. So the organization, we had a decision to make. There wasn't a lot of general consensus and or affinity for this current administration, particularly in the criminal justice reform movement. So they made the very hard and ultimately wise decision to work with this administration. As you know, Jared Kushner is a child of someone who has been incarcerated on the federal level.
Absolutely.
So we just thought that it was good sense so that we could get something done, far much more than what we've done in the past 20, 30 years. Hence the reason why we got involved. The bill was introduced by Hakeem Jeffries, Congressman Jeffries, and
That's
also Congressman Doug Collins. And when it was initially introduced, it was very skeletal in its construct. We got involved, we fleshed it out, made it far much more muscular. We ultimately got it passed. And the thing that's striking about the First Step Act is one of two things. The bill was led by people who were formerly incarcerated. We did not have a big war chest. We did not have, big brand names. We did not have big high-paid lobbyists. We just had the sheer ingenuity and tenacity of families who wanted something done. Me personally, I served nearly 14 years in federal prison. Yeah, so this issue is something that is very near and dear to my heart. And we wanted to make sure that those whose voices were muted and whose voices were diminished by federal prison sentences, that they had a glimmer of hope. And they can see a bill, they can see a legislation that was going to serve as a beacon of light for them when they were released.
So people have heard a lot about the First Step Act, but many people don't know some of the details. And I don't want to go too deep into that, but in a nutshell, how does this bill, this landmark legislation, actually make criminal justice more fair, which is really what it's about? Right?
Sure. Yeah. So it does that in one of several ways. So on the prison reform side, it's going to prohibit the shackling of pregnant women while they are incarcerated. It's going to prohibit the placement.
It's stunning that this was actually
that we need congressional act of Congress in order to prohibit, to do something that's fair, it's something that's decent.
So shackling of pregnant women, thank you. Yeah. Addressed. Okay, what else?
It's going to unlock education access for more than 16,000 people who were currently waitlisted for GED testing, people who were waitlisted for vocational training, vocational education training, so on and so forth.
So these are folks that are incarcerated. Now they can actually educate themselves for when they get out. Now they can
make meaningful
enter society
contributions
and make a contribution.
Absolutely. It's going to offer identification cards to people who are going to be released from federal prison. There's something about having an identification card that legitimizes you, that says I'm no longer 1395914, but I'm a Louis L. Reed. I'm a person. I'm a father. I'm a brother. I'm a son. I'm a citizen. So it's going to provide that as well. On the sentencing reform side, it's going to bring about equity for people who have crack cocaine disparities. As you very well may know, we've been having this conversation for decades on end.
Indeed.
If you get busted with 100 grams of cocaine, it's the equivalent of getting busted with 1 gram of crack, or vice versa. Under the Obama administration, that dropped from 100 to 1 down to 18 to 1. And unfortunately, those people, when that bill was passed, they weren't able to be the recipients of that legislation.
The change in that legislation.
The change that. So this made it retroactive. So this is going to immediately impact approximately 3,000 people who are going to be released. In addition, it's going to increase good time from 47 days to 54 days a year for 100% of the federal prison population.
And what does that mean, the time?
So what that means is that for every year that you do, you under the old law, you were currently earning 47 days a year. Now you will get 54 days a year, earn good time credit off of your sentence.
Oh, okay. So just, kind of pushing that number
absolutely,
further.
Absolutely, yes.
For good behavior and so forth. Well, fantastic.
Of course, yes.
So that's great. Actually, very simply delivered.
Yes.
And it took how many years to get this passed?
To get the First Step Act passed, it took approximately, it was a year-long process. However, one of the things I always tell people is that this was a relay race. This was something that the Bush administration started under the Second Chance Act.
Right.
The Obama administration picked up the baton and they introduced the Fair Sentencing Act, which was the crack cocaine disparity from 100 to 1 down to 18 to 1. This administration, we have 99 problems, to quote Jay-Z, I got 99 problems with Trump, but criminal justice is not one of them. So this administration picked up the baton and got it over the finish line with the First Step Act. And literally, this is a first step in the right direction for bipartisan reform, for bipartisan legislation. This is how our democracy is supposed to work. You have never seen a bird fly with one wing, with a left wing or a right wing. You've seen a bird fly with two wings. And in order for us to be able to rise against partisan politics, in order for us to be able to rise against, fly higher than where we have been in our current judicial system and even our political system, we need both parties to be able to come together.
Wonderful message of hope. Thanks so much, Louis.
Thanks so much for having me. I appreciate you.